Happy New Year, everybody. Hey, this is Pete Lackey, starting off the new year with our first Bible Minute that has to do with our reading. So let's go ahead and jump in. So we started in the book of John, chapter 1, and then we went to Proverbs, chapter 1. So I'm going to talk about John, chapter 1. So let's start with verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God at the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. Then you jump down here to verse 14. It says, and the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. You notice that the Word has a capital W. That's because it's referencing Jesus Christ. And you see in verse 14 that he took on flesh. So verse 1 is establishing the fact that Jesus has always existed. I know we just celebrated Christmas, and people think that Jesus came into existence around Christmas time, right at the turn of the BC to AD. And that's not true. Jesus has always existed as God, and he just took on another nature. He is fully God and fully man, and he came to this earth because he has a message for us. And it's really important that we get that message. And we see hints of this in the Old Testament or Old Covenant. So if you go back to Genesis, remember I said the Bible is 66 books, covers a 1,500-year span, written in 3 languages by over 40 authors. And you can see that there's a continuity of a message here because it comes from a single mind, and that is God. So look at creation. You see that Jesus was involved in creation, just like John says. So look at Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 and 27. Here's what the Bible says. Then God said, let us make man in our image, our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, over the livestock, over all the earth, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created a man in his own image. So you see this use of the plural and singular because God's using a finite tool, written word, to give us an infinite truth. The fact that there's something with his nature, and that is the Trinity. And God's name, in fact, in the Old Testament Hebrew word used is Elohim, and it means plurality of oneness. So mathematically, it's 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. Not 1 plus 1 plus 1, that's 3. So it's one God revealed in 3 persons. We also see the fact that God has a son in the book of Proverbs, written 700 and some years BC before Christ was born. So look at Proverbs verse 4, chapter 30, verse 4. Here's what it goes. Who has gone up to heaven and come down? Who has gathered up the wind in the hollow of his hands? Who has wrapped up the waters in his cloak? Who has established all the ends of the earth? And what is his name and the name of his son? Tell me, if you know. Well, now we know some 700, 800 years later that his name is Jesus. This is Pete Lackey for the Bible Minute, and we'll see you soon.